You've probably heard of multiple sclerosis, or MS. It's a condition that affects millions of people, but the way it actually impacts the body can seem, well, pretty complicated and mysterious. So today, we're going to break it all down. We're going to look at what's really happening inside the body and how that one issue creates a whole ripple effect of symptoms. So let's just start with this question. What really happens when your body's internal communication system starts to fail? I mean, just imagine the network that lets you think and move and see and feel suddenly starts getting static, or the messages get completely scrambled. Well, that's kind of the core of what we're talking about with MS. To really get a handle on all the effects, we've got to look at the source of the problem first. You can think of it like we're hunting for the short circuit in a super complex electrical grid. Okay, so at its very heart, MS is what's called an immune-mediated condition. What that means is that the body's own defense system, the immune system that's supposed to fight off germs, it gets confused, it makes a mistake, and it starts attacking the protective coating that's wrapped around the nerves in your brain and your spinal cord. The best way to picture this is to think of all your nerves as a massive system of electrical wires. They're constantly zipping these vital messages all over the place. From your brain to your legs telling them to walk, to your eyes telling them to see, it's happening all the time. Now you know how every good electrical wire needs that plastic coating, that insulation? Well, your nerves have the exact same thing. It's a fatty layer called the myelin sheath, and its job is to protect the nerve and make sure those electrical messages travel super fast and efficiently, without getting lost. And this is the short circuit. In MS, the immune system attacks and damages that myelin insulation. So when that protective layer gets worn away, the nerve signals can slow way down, they can get scrambled, or they might just stop completely. The message just doesn't get through clearly, or sometimes it doesn't get through at all. But a short circuit like this doesn't just cause one single problem, right? It creates this whole cascade of issues. It's kind of like an initial power surge that then leads to all these other blackouts down the line. And this idea helps us understand the difference between what experts call primary and secondary symptoms. And the difference here is really fascinating. So, primary symptoms, those are the things that happen as a direct result of that nerve damage, the short circuit itself. We're talking about stuff like vision loss or muscle weakness, but then you've got secondary symptoms. These are the knock-on effects. For example, if nerve damage makes the bladder weak, that's a primary symptom. A person might then get a urinary tract infection. That infection is a secondary symptom. It's a complication. So you can see how that initial bit of nerve damage creates this massive ripple effect that can spread out and touch almost every single system in the body. Let's follow that ripple, starting with one of the most common signs people notice first. For a lot of people, the very first clue that something isn't quite right has to do with their vision. It turns out the optic nerve, which connects your eye to your brain, is often one of the first places to be affected by this damage, and these symptoms can show up really suddenly. And these problems can be anything from blurriness or seeing double to even feeling pain when you move your eyes. It can even affect how you see color. Now, that sounds pretty scary for sure, but here's the good news. These vision issues are often temporary and they can be treated, especially during a flare-up. And the body's communication can be affected in another way too. This is pretty surprising, but somewhere between a quarter and almost half of all people with MS will have some kind of speech problem. And it's not about not knowing the words to say, it's the physical act of speaking that becomes hard. That nerve damage can mess with muscle control, and that can lead to slurring or trouble controlling your volume. And this is where we really see that broader impact. In your muscles, those messed up signals can cause weakness or that weird pins and needles feeling. For the bladder and bowel, nerve damage can really interfere with the signals that tell those systems what to do. And right inside the central nervous system itself, the fallout can be anything from dizziness to problems with memory or even mood changes like depression. And that ripple effect just keeps going. People with MS actually have a higher risk of getting osteoporosis or weakened bones, partly because of being less active and also from some treatments. Things like swallowing, sexual function, and even heart health can all be affected as a downstream effect of that initial nerve damage. Okay, so that is a lot of information, and I know it can sound pretty overwhelming, but this is the most crucial part of the whole story. MS is a manageable condition. The focus today is totally shifted to restoring that connection, to managing the symptoms, and living a really full life. Managing it is really this comprehensive three-part approach. First, medications are absolutely key for slowing the disease down and cutting back on those flare-ups. Second, therapies, like physical therapy or speech therapy, are like targeted tools to help handle very specific symptoms. And finally, lifestyle. Things like staying active and eating well, they play a huge supportive role in your overall health. And this really highlights a fundamental truth about this condition. There is absolutely no one-size-fits-all MS. It is an incredibly personal disease. The symptoms someone has and how they respond to a treatment is totally unique to them. And that's why having a personalized care plan is just so vital.
You know, a really common fear is what MS means for your future, for the long term. And while it's true there isn't a cure yet, the outlook has changed dramatically. With the treatments and management strategies we have today, MS does not significantly shorten a person's life expectancy. People with MS can, and absolutely do, live long, fulfilling lives.
So this brings us to one last forward-looking question. As our understanding just keeps growing and treatments get even more targeted, how can this personalized care and all this new research continue to completely redefine what it means to live with MS? Because the focus is really shifting from just managing a disease to truly empowering a life.